This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. I want to welcome all the new subscribers, and I want to direct you to a new blog post that I posted in the description, and thank you to all of the new subscribers to my blog. I really encourage people to read these blog posts because what we're doing here is we're engaging in an experiment. And the experiment is that through perceiving this illusory reality, someone would like to call a reality, fine, that we are immersed in, by shifting our perception of this illusion, that we can hack the matrix, that allows us to hack the matrix. And so I know most of you do, or rather listen to these podcasts, and that's wonderful. But I really encourage you to read the blog posts so you can start understanding where I'm coming from and the connections that I'm making. I do believe it will really help you to break the spell that we are immersed in, the spell that we are immersed in that seduces us into believing that this is all there is. And so we are being conditioned. We are conditioned into this illusory reality. And we are simply living someone else's dream. But remember, we have to remember, what I'm coming to realize is really there is only one dreamer, and that's me. I'm the one dreaming. I'm taking back the dream, my capacity to dream. And so, as this is an experiment, this is a wonderful opportunity to become the dreamer. I'm no longer accepting the dream that's being spoon-fed to me through these narratives and scripts. And what I am guided to do, and when I share these threads, is to follow guidance. I'm actually able to start seeing into the future timeline. And I'm going to be talking about remote viewing, which is quite interesting in this blog post. And so the title of this blog post is Sochi 2014 ParOlympic Games, which just ended on Sunday, March the 16th. Games and more games, remote viewing, Malaysia Flight 370, medic portals around Earth, and gravity propulsion technology. And could 2014 be the year we make contact? Remember that movie Contact, the year we make contact? But contact with what? Remember, we're living through narratives and scripts. And so on March the 7th, 2014, at the Sochi ParOlympics opening ceremonies, the overriding theme was breaking the ice. And I thought that was quite interesting because I believe with this Malaysia Flight 370 disappearance, they're breaking the ice for us and conditioning us, or humanity, that we will be experiencing new phenomena and anomalies, to say the least. One of the things I want to point out in this blog post, in the picture, was the acronym MNP, which is on the ship. This three-letter acronym in front of the ship stood out for me, and apparently it can stand for several things when I looked it up. But what stood out for me was that it was an acronym for Mars's nearest point. Mars, the planet Mars, nearest point, used to define orbitography, the point along the line of sight nearest to the planet Mars. And as many of you know that have been listening to my podcast or reading my blog posts, I have been talking about Mars is a planet of war. So Mars is a planet of war, and so this could be a subliminal for more war to come, is my guess. Anyway, the stage was set. The stage was set at the ParOlympics. And the reason why I touch on the ParOlympics, or the Olympics, the 2014 Olympics, or I've covered some of the Olympics in the past couple of years, few years, is because they give us cues and clues as to what's to come. They use a lot of symbols in the stage presentation, and they actually are clues as to what's coming in the near future. And so, anyway, the stage was set for this ship, which was to be an ice-breaking ship to symbolize peace. I believe that on a deeper level, the symbol of the ship breaking the ice is to condition humanity again into seeing and experiencing new phenomena and anomalies, such as the Malaysia flight 370 that went missing the day after the Sochi Olympics opening ceremonies, that is the ParOlympic's, March the 8th, or March the 7th. Only 3 days, well, the Sochi Olympics opening was March the 7th, and the plane went missing on March the 8th, only 3 days before the Fukushima disaster anniversary, which was March the 11th. Again, dates are very important to the power control force. So in my previous post on the Fukushima deception link, I had never written anything on Fukushima, and someone had asked me to write on it, and it just so happened to be, I think, probably a week before. This is the first time I've written about it. I did a video on this Fukushima when it happened a couple years ago, but there were some things that I never pointed out, so I put a link to that blog post, and you can read it because I was sharing my perception of that it was the Fukushima disaster was designed to affect the planetary grid system, and that there was a portal or a vortex that was opening up close to a month after the Fukushima disaster in 2011. So I thought there was an interesting connection that there was a portal that was opening. Now there is a vortex around between Japan and Malaysia called the Devil's Triangle, or the Dragon's Triangle. And where the Dragon's Triangle is, there is very interesting phenomena anomalies are said to happen. Ships go in these, and airplanes, fall through these triangles or vortexes. And I put a picture of Devil's Triangle, or the Dragon's Triangle. And then I also put a picture of the 12 vial vortexes that have been acknowledged around the world by Ivan Sanderson. I'll write a little bit more about him. Anyway, it turns out there's a vial vortex in the ocean where they're trying to find this Malaysia flight 370, which has disappeared or gone somewhere. But again, it's a narrative, it's a story that's unfolding. There's no truth to this. But again, their power control force are conditioning you for what's to come, which I want to share more about. Anyway, there's a Wharton Basin triangle, right, where the Malaysia Flight 370 went missing in the Indian Ocean. So I thought that was interesting. It also turns out that there is a vortex portal in Kiev, Ukraine, the former Soviet Union. Kiev has been a major religious site for Eastern Orthodox Church. The vortex is just north of Kiev and south of Gomel, near Chernobyl, and has been the site for two aspirations of the Virgin Mary in 1914 and 1987. The 1987 aspiration was 1 year to the minute after the Chernobyl nuclear accident. And I mentioned the Chernobyl nuclear accident when I shared my Fukushima blog post. I talked about how Chernobyl is kind of mirroring the Fukushima. It's just about intensification of events around the same timeline. And so this is just another story connection I'm making. I did a blog post on on Kiev in Ukraine and signaling that we will be having the next Trojan War. And Trojan War, if you look at the mythology of the Trojan War, the overriding theme is that there is an element of surprise. The people of Troy were surprised when soldiers, they were given a gift of a ship or a horse, and falling on my horse theme, and they roll the ship into the city of Troy, and all the soldiers come out, and there's a war waged on Troy. So that was what I consider the element of surprise. So it's interesting how there's a vortex right near Kiev, the power control force. And what I'm trying to show you is they're not even operating on the level on which we are perceiving this lie of a system. It's all designed to deceive you, to cause you doubt and confusion, to keep you from the truth, which is that they are trying to deny you your right to ascend, your ascension. We live in a program or software program or a simulation, and the overriding theme is ascension. That's the overriding software program. That's the overriding simulation that you are immersed in. You have to come to understand this. A simulation meaning a dream. Simulation meaning a software program, like a game, like a virtual reality game. But we're living within a simulation within a simulation. Designed by who? By the universal architects who designed this whole system. And the universal architects have the same awareness that you and I have. Only thing is, they wanted your awareness and my awareness, and so they hijacked all the awareness and made it their own. And now they believe it's their own, that you are a piece of property as awareness, that you are to be used and abused and discarded. And so the opportunity, and there's never been an opportunity like there is now, is for you to reclaim your right to ascend and come to know self as awareness, because awareness, as awareness, you are the ultimate reality. And I really want to keep this simple. As awareness, you are just simply becoming more aware of the dream that you are experiencing, that you are the dreamer. There's only one dreamer, and you are creating your dream, just as the universal architects have created their dream. Only thing is, because they have done the unthinkable, they have thought that they could capture your awareness along with their awareness and create this system of a universe and galaxies and solar systems and an earth system, that it can harvest the awareness that is everyone on this planet and keep the system afloat through a simulated program that they have run amok. They have gotten greedy, and they suffer severe mental distortions that they probably couldn't have even foreseen for themselves to have happened. But that's what happens when you misuse and abuse power that's not yours, is my guess. So anyway, I know these concepts may be way out there, but this is how I see, this is how I perceive this illusion now. Yes, I used to only perceive it as many do through the five sense personality, and where my perception was hijacked. But now, as I'm hacking the system, which is what we're doing here as part of the experiment that we're engaged in, as I share in my experience with you, is that I'm dismantling this system. I'm hacking this system. It's never been done before. This is the first time in human history. Now you have the opportunity to dismantle the system, to hack the system, to come to know self as awareness, and create as the dreamer your own dream. And so what we've been doing is tracking some threads, and I'm just following guidance, as awareness. And it's becoming I'm becoming very particular about what I'm following. And it's freeing me up. So we already know that we are tracking planetary alignments because the power control force is created, or the universal architects created the solar system. And it's a solar system that is a software program that most of humanity is running off of. Yes, we are all programmed, and we'd have to be. I mean, let's keep it really simple. As awareness, you're just simply resting. You're resting in a constant state of paradise. There's nothing for you to do there. There's nothing there. You're just resting in a constant state of paradise. So there has to be something that engages awareness. And it's through the proton and the electron, the nucleus, the atom. That's what's captured you. That's the cell. The cell, right down to the cellular level of what's captured you. The proton, the electron, and the nucleus. And something would need to capture awareness in order to seduce it into believing that all of this is real. Now, if you look at it, it kind of makes sense. I mean, when you look at it, it's like awareness is very it's very sensitive. Awareness is very malleable. Awareness is innocent. It's like very childlike. And the only example, the best example that I can give you is when you look at a newborn baby and you just, their essence is just oozing from them. It's just, there's such an innocence there, a purity. That is you. That is your core expression. That's you as awareness. That it's just that as you grow up, you're born into this program with your full awareness as a newborn baby, but you're born into a death program. And so you lose, as you grow up into this system, you lose that awareness. And the hope is that you don't lose all of it, that you keep some of that awareness so that you can break free from this system. But the power control force knows that awareness has that innocent, childlike nature and that it can be seduced. And so the proton and the electron and the nucleus and this whole concept of energy is what seduced awareness into this whole idea of light. It's the light. It's the light that has seduced you into believing that everything that you're experiencing in the physical dimension is real. Nature has seduced awareness. But it's just simply mirroring an aspect of awareness. And so as you have stepped down into this physical world and you've come to know and experience this physical world and its beauty and all its textures and nuances, and you can have all these wonderful experiences as awareness. It's kind of like, well, this is kind of like being in a candy store. It's very seductive. And no wonder, as if awareness is innocent and malleable and childlike, how it can be seduced, so easily seduced. It's not that humanity is ignorant. It's just that awareness can easily be seduced. And that's why the power control force, the universal architect who designed this system, have been able to pull off what they've been pulling off for so long. But as I keep telling you, there is a war. There is a war against awareness, you see, because awareness is seeping through this deceptive program, this program of deception. You see, the awareness that is you is seeping through, and you are reclaiming more of that awareness and being able to experience more of that awareness in physical form. This has never been done before. It's the first time it's been done. So this whole idea of, when I talk about enlightenment, and I'm teasing you with this whole idea of enlightenment, that it's such an elusive thing that we are seeking. It's a con. You don't need to seek enlightenment, because you would be seeking something that is lesser than who and what you are, and that you already are. Awareness. You don't need to seek something such as enlightenment, because enlightenment is a lie. Light, the whole concept of light, is a lie. It's what seduced you into believing that all of this is real. It's fascinating when you understand, or get to understand and know the deeper levels of how you're being manipulated, how you're being conned in this whole area of consciousness. Why would con be in front of consciousness? Because you're being conned. This whole consciousness concept is the same thing as light or enlightenment. Awareness has been captured in this whole concept of consciousness. And consciousness is just energy. It's just energy, an energetic construct that has very different levels and degrees. And they only want you to know that, or believe that you are consciousness, because you're captured within a consciousness system. And a consciousness system is just a data stream. It's just information. And this information that is called mind control. This information is what's controlling your mind. Consciousness. Language. Numbers. The language system is what is the overriding tool that has captured you into this mind, this consciousness. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? I hope I'm not losing any of you. But anyway, let's continue with this blog. So I believe that the missing flight simply is a narrative made up by the power control force to start conditioning humanity for disclosure. Yes. And gravity propulsion technology. These are all these UFOs flying around because they have the technology to create this type of discs that fly like that look like UFOs. They have the technology for it. You got it. The power control force technology. It's called anti-gravitational propulsion technology, in order to help humanity make contact with extraterrestrials. So what is happening now is we are moving into new frontiers, thanks to the gravitational waves that are coming in. And I've been posting on my Facebook page an announcement that was made yesterday, as a matter of fact, that astrophysicists are now confirming that gravitational waves exist, thanks to Einstein, who introduced a theory on relativity in 1916. It was actually his birthday. His birthday was March the 14th. So I hope you see how you are being manipulated. It's not a coincidence that his birthday is March the 14th, and that is considered Pi Day, or the day of creation, or Pi Day, which is symbolic. It's not the day of creation, but it's Pi Day, and Pi is a symbol of creation. And that on March the 17th, they made an announcement that these gravitational waves exist, which also ties in with the G2 cloud that I've been talking about. The super wave, real energy, which is instantaneous. And this whole idea of radiation. So watch, I'm going to share a little bit more with you on this. I hope you're understanding. I'm connecting some really important dots here. And with this real energy, these gravitational waves, this is stuff that's waking you up. This is awareness. Supersedes all of these concepts of gravitational waves and radio waves and electromagnetism and electricity. It's all the same energy. It's just different components or different wavelengths of the same energy. Fascinating stuff. So we are to what? Ride these energies, right? Engage these energies. Because this is a higher level of how the power control force, where they're operating on. Why just focus on these narratives that are playing out? That's what they want you to focus on. But I'm trying to shift your perception. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to get you to focus on something completely different here. Because this is where it's really at. And if we can focus here on solar astrology, planetary alignments, and these gravitational waves. And this is the energy that's, that's seeping through. It's obscured with all these other concepts of what they're calling it. It's really just awareness seeping through. They're calling it radiation, solar energy, whatever. Just know that it's just awareness seeping through. Awareness is dismantling this matrix, this software program, the simulation. It's a finite system. It's coming to an end. We can see that clearly on the external reflective. So intensification of events on the physical world stage, it's just going to keep intensifying. Why would it keep intensifying? Because the power control force are trying to keep you in doubt and confusion. They're trying to keep you manipulated. They're trying to keep seducing you into the system, and so that you don't reach your ascension and wake up out of this dream. Because when you wake up out of this dream, you're just waking up into another dream. Remember that. And that dream, for many, will be a nightmare. And then you have to move through that dream. And then you have to dismantle and become awareness completely, so that you can be the dreamer. Be the sole dreamer of your own dream. And so there's very little that I track right now. And so it's really freed me up. It's really freed me up to do other stuff. Because I used to spend a lot of time trying to sort through all this stuff. And it was driving me nuts at times. And I would just go, and I'd have to, take rest bites and just relax. Now I'm on a very specific trajectory. And it's freed up my energy. It's freed up my time. And now I have the space. You see this? Energy, time, and space. To just experience self as awareness and create. That's the opportunity. Create. I'm creating the dream. Even though I know that I'm still under a program, I'm conscious of the program that I'm under. I'm conscious of the programming that conditions me to move and act in certain ways. I'm conscious of that. And being conscious of that, and then deciding each step of the way how I want to engage the program that I'm still under as I dismantle it. It's about positioning yourself. How are you going to position yourself to win this game? It's a game you're immersed in. Truly. So anyway, now this G2 cloud or radiation that astrophysicists have now acknowledged yesterday, March the 17th, is now the game changer for the power control force. And these concepts of energy that the power control force are introducing you are simply precursors to condition the new phenomena and anomalies like the missing Malaysia flight 370, which is simply just a taste of what's to come. Now also keep in mind that NASA is planning a mission called MMS, short for Magnetospheric Multiscale Mission, due to launch in October 27th. How about that? To study the magnetic portals that supposedly open and close dozens of times each day around the planet Earth. Oh, interesting coincidence, hey? Now these portals, and most likely consists the ones that they're monitoring, are the ones I mentioned above, and new ones potentially opening up that are typically located a few tens of thousands of kilometers from the Earth, where the geomagnetic field meets the onrushing solar wind. Here's a connection to the planetary alignments and solar astrology that we're following. And so it's important for us to track these alignments in order to track our individual and collective metamorphoses. And I encourage you to watch the video in this blog post of how the MMS operates with the solar magnetic energy. It also turns out that psychic Uri Geller was called in to help find Malaysia Airlines plane by a significant figure. Didn't mention who it was. Another reference to the new phenomena anomalies. Now they're bringing in some psychics. And so he's a remote viewer. So the psychic said he had been using remote viewing to discover the fate of the plane. Mr. Geller said the pilot was either pushed into a situation to divert the plane by another force. Force. It sounds like Star Wars, the Force. Look at their choice of words. Gravitational waves, it could be. Force, meaning extraterrestrial. It's ambiguous, the force. And so, or he said the pilot did it on his own accord. So they're introducing you, and I posted a link to the full article on the psychic that was brought in. Again, you're living through scripts and narratives. None of this is true. It's all fake. It's all fictitious. If you remember, I've been talking about this real energy, the superwave, the G2 cloud, in reference to the grand mutation in 2020. Remember, these are all the same things. They're just morphing into something different. It's just to keep you in doubt and confusion. It's no different than the 2012 procession of the equinoxes. It's just more of the same, but intensification to usher you into more doubt and confusion, to keep you from your ascension or your transcendence. I did that movie on blog post and audio on transcendence. Read those. That movie's come out, I think, April 17th or 18th, around there. Not by coincidence, all by design. You live in a well-scripted, well-choreographed, well-narrated script. You're living through someone else's story, through someone else's narrative. Truly. Now, if you've been following the thread, then you can see that this new energy is what is underlying all creation. And the game changer that is changing the course of human history, or his story, I love history, his story, the power control force's story, their narratives and scripts they are imposing on the unassuming masses. And this is why I say there is a war. There's a war in awareness, and that awareness, which is the ultimate reality, is what is causing so many to awaken from the dream into another dream or nightmare that is playing out on the physical world stage. But as you and I know, it does not have to be this way. The truth is not in the words, as the power control force would like you to believe, as was clearly symbolized in the Sochi ParOlympic's closing ceremonies, with the theme of the closing ceremonies associated to a game from the 80s called I'm Possible. What they are trying to tell you is that it is a mission impossible to come to know self as awareness. You have to see these subliminals. I mean, it's just hilarious. It's just hilarious. Now, the Impossible game is known as an insanely addictive game. I put a link to the game. It just came out. It's a rendition on this Impossible game, I guess, in the 80s. But it just came out in 2014. The music consists of techno beats, and it rises your motivation as well as the tension. Each time you start the game, you will experience something new and harder. But if you are a person who's capable of beating the really impossible game levels, then you are definitely an exceptional one who will feel you have beaten something amazing. difficulties that only a few could do this globally. So you see here how we're tracking our metamorphoses. And I am giving you some tools. Have you been masturbating? I know that some of you have been. It's a wonderful opportunity to absorb some of the energies. How has that been going for you? Did you try it? I've been sharing about that in my last few audios. It's a great way to absorb the energies, and make sure you come to an orgasm. That's even better. But I mean, these are just basic tools that I can give you, and it's quite humorous, but it works for me, and it may work for some of you, so I encourage you. But see, this game that they're saying is insanely addictive, they're trying to divert your attention. Because what we're engaged in here, and when I share in these podcasts and I share in my blog posts, is that I'm understanding the nature or the rules of the game that we're immersed in this physical dimension. I'm understanding the rules. And because I understand that I'm playing a game, that I'm immersed in this game. And I am here, and that it can be quite addictive. Being in physical form and wanting to know more and searching and researching. It's like, that's an addiction. Because awareness knows all things. Awareness is all-knowing and wise and just simply rests in a constant state of paradise. And so this idea, this concept that I'm introducing to you from the Sochi Olympics, ParOlympic's closing ceremonies, theme of a game, is really how the power controllers don't want you to realize that you're immersed in a game. They want you to be addicted to the game that you're in, because it serves their higher purpose that you remain a food source for them. It's quite fascinating. So I have a link there to the game. You can try it out. I'm not going to try it. I'm immersed in this game. This game is far better. Hacking the system, hacking this game is far grander, far greater than, and I am just in awe at the potential, to dream. Dreaming. I'm dreaming another dream. It's beautiful. It truly is a glorious time to be here. It truly is a glorious time to be alive, despite the chaos and insanity on this planet. Yes, it's a beautiful time to be here. But anyway, just to finish up here, the thing that makes this game really impossible is that if you do not play in a practice mode, you must beat all the levels from start to finish only with one life. Yes, you have one life here. And so what I encourage you is to not engage in these games, not engage in the power control forces agenda, understand their narratives and their scripts, break the spell that you are immersed in or you are seduced into, and come to know self as awareness so that you can be the dreamer. You can create your own game, your own narratives, your own script. So you become the dreamer. And so this game sounds like real life to me. The game is changing real fast. And the power control force know this. So the question is, whose game are you going to play? And under whose rules? Theirs? Or are you going to start making your own rules and playing your own game, which they don't want to have happen? Because in essence, there's only truly one dreamer in your dream, and that is you. It truly is a stunningly beautiful time to be alive. I thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to join me on Facebook, my name is Kerrace, Kerrace, Alexander. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your comments. And yes, we'll continue to track our metamorphoses. Take care. Bye-bye.